Rebuilding movement of the spine is one of the most direct ways to address back pain issues of all kinds, from chronic stiffness to spondylolisthesis and other forms of vertebral disc compression. Having a mobile spine also greatly enhances agility and reactive speed in multiplanar activities like tennis, soccer, and martial arts. In this video, we'll cover 4 basic movements of the spine. These can be done standing or seated. All right, movements of the spine. Super important. No one does enough of it, including coach. And if you're also like coach in that you actually sit for your job most of the day, this is extra important. I actually do this stuff at my desk all day long as I'm sitting here working. Either I'll fold it into my work as I'm working, or I'll just take 20, 30-second breaks to open up my spine. If you did that too, if you folded this into your day, imagine getting to the end of the day at your desk and your back actually feeling better. Wouldn't that be crazy? Let's dig in. First, we'll look at tilts. Squeeze up and triple down, not double down, triple down on butts and guts. Your guts are going to support the front of your spine through this, and your butts are going to help protect the back of the spine, especially the lumbar vertebrae, which is where most people's deepest sensitivities and restrictions reside. So, we got that all clamped up, widened stance, and now we're looking at tilts or lateral flexion. I like to have my arms up just a little bit, but close into my body, okay? So from here, you can kind of raise or lower the flaps to help you pull yourself into your tilts. Starting up, I'm looking for length in the side that I'm tilting away from, and a contraction, a deep engagement squeeze on the side I'm tilting into. Stop at any sharpness coming out of the hip if you hit it, right? If it starts to sharpen up, just stop there, squeeze up, maybe back off a little bit until the sharpness fades, and or play with variability. Just take it all slow and then head down to the next level, or hit a quick little reset before heading down to the next level. As you get deeper and deeper, you can start raising your arms to get a little bit more leverage, a little bit more weight into this. But again, if it sharpens up, just be ready to retreat some. And feel that length start coming out the other side. Going to get a nice stretch here, but don't relax. Stay tight. Stay supported. After 15, 20 seconds max, come up through the middle. Get a good in-between shake, especially a nice little hip and spine twist. Feels really good after a set of tilts. And then hit the other side. Same deal. Start searching for asymmetries, for any unilateral movement, meaning one side and then the other. Always take note of where your weaknesses, restrictions, tight points are relative left to right. When I go left, if I lean back and then twist this way, I can get a little sharp sensation out of this hip. And then I just stop and squeeze it up, and it gets better over time. Whereas over here, it's less of a sharp pain and more of a diffuse, like resistance. Like I don't have as much range here. It's not painful, but it's just kind of blocked. So I actually want to twist in a slightly different way that I have to use some random movement to explore and locate, and then squeeze up on it. Tilts. Next, cat-cow. This is obviously a composite of 2 movements, spinal flexion and extension. To simplify things, and because they go together as a natural pairing, we're just going to put them together as one movement, cat-cow, okay? For standing cat-cows, I like having a self-brace, either hands or elbows on the thighs. You can certainly push into flexion and extension without doing that and get a lot out of this, but you'll get even more if you use your arms for increased leverage. Okay, so tighten up. Just like your tilts, slow everything down and get about 10-15 seconds just pushing up against the border. Whether it feels tight, weak, or you get any kind of sharpness, just stop there, wiggle around, play with some variation if it feels good. Find a particular spot that you need to stay on for a bit. Come back to the neutral and exhale into the other end, into cow. Same deal. Once you hit that end point, don't go as far as you possibly can, right? You shouldn't be straining. right up against it, right? But get into that early part of resistance, and that's where you hit your variability. Transition back every 15, 20 seconds, and or take a little shake break in between them. Cat-cow. Next, twist, aka rotation. For this one, I like to have the arms up a little bit higher, just because it helps with balance and you get a little more leverage, a little more torque to pull deeper into this movement. Notice the slightly wider stance. As you come off axis, it's easy to lose balance, especially if you take your head with you the whole way. It's harder to balance this way than it is to keep your head fixed in position and turn that way. But still also practice moving your head with your body, because even though it might be a little bit more of a coordination balance challenge, that's a good thing. It helps increase your spatial awareness. That increased movement of the head will also help you twist deeper into the form, just by leading the rest of the body. For those with lumbar disc compression or spondylolisthesis or any lower back pain of any kind, this is going to be probably your best and your worst move. Worst in that it will probably trigger things in you, little sharp bits, right away. Good for you in that if you can find the therapeutic amount of that early on, you can fix deep problems through your twist that are hard to get to with other movements. Okay, so treat it like everything else and just do it at the level you need to do it to start. I've had back pain where I could barely twist this far. So I just started there, stayed tight, and just grew it and grew it and grew it and grew it and grew it over time. And finally, circles or circumduction if you want to be fancy. This basically folds the other three forms into one movement. Once again, tighten up, especially guts and butts. Keep your hands close to your body to start. If you're fairly new to this or you haven't practiced these in a while, start very small, very slow, especially as we move towards the back, right? Again, if you've got lumbar disc issues, any type of lower back pain, this is going to increase the pressure on it. A good amount is, of course, below 3 out of 10. But if it starts spiking on you, 3, 4, 5, it's time to back out of there and do a slightly regressed version of it, where you're not passing through it quite as severely or not leaning back quite as far, okay? But you can't avoid these things, right? And in a circle, you're gonna hit every conceivable angle of distortion and dysfunction in your back, but especially as you go through the back, okay? So just take it slow, keep a nice wide stance if you're standing, and try to keep your hips out of it as much as possible. When I say out of it, just not assisting you, right? You're not doing a hula hoop. You're trying to keep these locked into place and just firm and supportive, and all the movement comes from here, right? So if I wanted to break it down, I can start with the tilt sideways, and I'm leaning over into a hip hinge. That hip hinge gradually gives way to the other side tilt. That tilt gradually gives way into full extension of the back, which passes through the middle and becomes the first side tilt again, right? So we're kind of combining everything here. You can get down into cat and can intentionally round the back as you come through the middle. To get a little extra stretch on here, just be careful and slow like everything else. And then you can pull back into cow as you pass through the middle once again, but double down on butts to support that lower back, right? As long as you're squeezing everything like I've told you to a million times, you should be able to find the safe amount of this. And it might be very small, but over time it can grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And once you feel like you're starting to get a bigger circle, now it's time for the arms to start coming out. Every little increase in arm extension increases the leverage throughout this entire movement. In general, I recommend practicing one direction for about 20 to 30 seconds before reversing to the other direction. Great massage pairs include lat, lower back SI joint, mid-thoracic trapezius, as well as glute medius. For a deeper demonstration of any of these, go to your massage tutorials and enjoy.